Okay, this is part 2 of Wisdom Quotes by me, P. Rogers, from the book Holy Grail of Wisdom Quotes. The first statement is that the word phronimos in Greek means prudence or wisdom from experience. Aristotle's quote, "There are no prudent young people. Prudence is concerned with specifics as well as universals. Specifics become known from experience, but young people lack experience." And that's my experience too. A young person can memorize a book, but they just don't have experience with life. So they really know much less than they think they do. Socrates, "I am on a mission from God to follow the truth wherever it leads. I would be ashamed of myself if I didn't do this." That's Socratic apologetics from Plato's dialogues about him. Socrates' next quote, "The highest wisdom consists in distinguishing between good and bad. And like Schopenhauer said, it is judgment that comes last." So that's one of the big advantages of older people, is they got a lot of life experience, so they can judge a lot of stuff well. Socrates, "The beginning of wisdom is the proper definition of terms." You know, the Bible, of course, says fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Aristotle, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of wisdom." A lot of stuff you figure out by knowing yourself. Like if something happens, you say, how would I feel if that happened to me? Or if you're going to say something to someone else or recommend somebody to somebody else, you say, how would I feel if somebody said that to me or recommended that to me? That's the way you figure out a lot of problems. Socrates, "Courage begins with wisdom, but courage without wisdom is rashness." Socrates, "Marry or marry not. In either case, you will regret it. If you get a good wife, you'll be happy. If you get a bad one, you'll become a philosopher." I like the Rodney Dangerfield quote about marriage. He says, "What's the difference between having an arranged marriage versus marrying for love? You can spend the rest of your life blaming your parents instead of yourself." Okay, Nietzsche. "Fully mature intellects love truth when it appears plain and simple, boring to the ordinary person, for they have noticed that the truth tends to reveal itself in its highest wisdom in the guise of simplicity." Yeah, and Kohler had said that a lot of times the key thing is clearing out the old way of looking at things. And that's why in retrospect the truth seems so obvious, because the new person that comes along isn't blocked by all that old nonsense that was blocking the path to the truth. Okay, John Stuart Mill. Oh no, this is a serenity prayer of Reinhold Niebuhr. He said, "God, give us the grace to accept with serenity the things which cannot be changed, the courage to change those things which should be changed, and the wisdom to know the difference." John Stuart Mill, "The great creative individual is capable of more wisdom and more virtue than collective man can ever be." Okay, that's a little bit like the Galileo quote that knowledge is like a racehorse, like a stallion. It's not like a plow horse. And he said that's why one stallion can outrun 1,000 plow horses. And one wise man, 1,000 plow horses don't make one wise man. Tucker Max, the best-selling author, he said, "Most of our conventional wisdom is not only wrong, it's a lie told to us by people who want to control us. It doesn't help us, it helps them." A perfect example is diversity. People think you're saying something smart when you say, "Oh, I like diversity." No, what you're saying is when the public is all divided, that's our strength. No. The public being divided is the strength of your controllers. Like the Roman Empire, the way it would bump off all the little cities is divide and conquer. America, when I was growing up, was a melting pot. One nation under God, and it was strong, and people got along a lot better than they do nowadays. Okay, William Blake. "The road of excess leads to the palace of wisdom." Bonhoeffer, "To recognize the significant in the factual is wisdom." Jean Bodin, "The study of history is the beginning of political wisdom." Okay, Ambrose Bierce, he says, "Intolerance is natural and logical because in every dissenting opinion there is an assumption of superior wisdom." Okay. And then Aristotle, kind of a different translation of an earlier quote by Aristotle tonight. "Knowing yourself is the beginning of wisdom." That's sort of the Greek know thyself. And there's more to it than that. So you say know thyself, what are you really getting at? Well, the implication is metacognition, thinking about thinking. Once you can step out of yourself and say, where is my thinking going? Why am I going down this path? You actually become a lot more intelligent because you'll have the ability to see things more objectively. Okay, and I liked an old quote by Schopenhauer. I don't know if I'm going to have it in this collection or not, but Schopenhauer said, most people study only for knowledge without realizing what really matters is insight. The knowledge is just a stepping stone to an insight, something that really matters, a concept that once you understand it, it empowers you in new ways. Anyways, that's it for wisdom quotes for tonight. Hope you found that helpful.